What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are having a great day as always. Today we're flex testing the WJ, so let's go ahead and just get right into that. If you guys haven't already subscribed, make sure you guys go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and let's go flex this Jeep. So as you guys know, we went ahead and installed the Iron Rock Offroad 6.5-inch Rocklink Pro Kit on our Jeep WJ. So we have all the long arms, everything like that. If you guys haven't seen those videos, make sure you check them out. But now I'm curious how much this thing's really going to flex. I need to cut a little bit more out here, as we found out yesterday. As you can see that it's all bent up. But we're going to flex it anyway and figure out exactly where to cut. But I've never had a Jeep on long arms, so we're going to flex it down there where we test the Wrangler, because we can max that out down there. So I'm assuming we can max this out. So let's hop in the Jeep, we'll back it down there and get this thing maxed out on the hill. So as you guys can see, this thing flexes a lot, and this isn't even maxed out yet, but we do have a few issues. So far, obviously this is not the ideal setup. I'm actually not sure why it's stuck on the top and it's just fall out. But we need some kind of clip to hold it in the bottom. Now XJs and stuff like that, they actually come with a clip. WJs do not for some reason. So we're gonna go ahead and figure out a way to make XJ clips work with this to hold the bottom of the coil in. Because as you can see, the coil retainer is still doing its job if the bottom was held in place. So we're gonna go ahead and get an order in for those. They're pretty cheap and easy. So and then we'll figure out how to mop those up, hold the coil down in the spot, and we should honestly be good to go. We might have to add limiting straps to hold it here, because I don't believe this is fully maxed out yet. But that's my solution to the coil issue, at least in the front. As you guys can see, the trimming we did in the back is actually like perfect. We have 1.5 inches to quite a bit on top. This isn't maxed out back here, but we do have room to go. That axle won't turn, just go up and down. As far as the front goes, like I said earlier, we are gonna have to trim this up some more. I turned so it didn't catch too bad, but as you guys saw in the video of me backing up the hill, it did catch a couple times. So we'll have to go ahead and cut that out. Not a huge deal, pretty easy to do. But we do have plenty of room up here once that's gone, so that's good news. That should be fairly simple. We'll cut up here and then back here so we can turn lock to lock with no rubbing whatsoever. Also won't be a huge deal because we're putting 35s on this for now. The back, this isn't maxed out actually, but you can see that the coil also isn't sitting perfectly on the perch. So we'll go ahead and get the clips for the back as well. It shouldn't be too hard to install, and I think that will help us a ton. Nothing worse than going off-road and dropping coils all the time. That being said though, I'm super impressed with this setup for just a bolt-on setup. This does way better than my Wrangler. Here's a better look at the suspension now that's kind of up in the air a little bit. You guys can see how it's all working together, working correctly. I'm actually really pleased with this setup, and I'm happy we installed this one on the Jeep. I'm excited to get it on the trails and see how it does actually off-roading. Here's another reason is once that coil comes out from the top, it can just literally fall down like that. And I'm not trying to get out every little while on the trail, because we're going to be doing pretty hard trails with this where we will be maxing out the flex. So we are going to need those clips so that way we can hold the coils in place. We might even need some limiting straps or something, so that way it can't go any lower than this, because if it goes lower, then the upper spring retainer or coil retainers aren't going to be in the right spot. And I just really don't feel like dealing with all that, and this is plenty of flex for the trails we're going to be doing. So now that I've flexed out the back, you guys can see that we're having a similar issue here. So we're going to need the coil retainers in the back as well. Not a huge deal. They're pretty, I think they're like $20 for 2 of them. So we'll go ahead and pick up 2 packs and figure out how to make those work with the WJ. That way we can hold our coils in place. I don't want to go with bigger coils unless we can get a softer coil. That way it doesn't sit any higher. I don't want the Jeep any higher than it is now. It's already like the same height as my Wrangler, so I don't want it any taller because I want a low center of gravity. So we should get those clips soon. We'll get those all installed so the coils can't fall out. Now the front here, you can see, is not going to go any higher on this side because the shock's maxed out, and we're actually clearing basically everything. The problem is when we turn, obviously, because then the tire is a slightly different position and everything. So I'm going to cut a little bit more out of the front. The back seems to be pretty good cutting wise. So I shouldn't have to cut any more out of the back, I don't think. It's also kind of tricky because this is not near the setup we're going to be running since we're putting 1 tons, 42s or 43s under it. So it's kind of hard to set up limiting straps and everything like that when we're going to be changing it up in the spring anyway. Besides those two things, the only other thing that I need to do is order at least a rear drive shaft. So I don't know about you guys, but I am super impressed with what this Jeep's capable of so far. I'm excited to get it on the trails and do like real world applications with it and see how it does on rocks and everything like that, just to see how well everything flexes on the trail. It's a little different than flexing on the hill in my front yard. Definitely gonna have to get long arms on the Wrangler to make sure it keeps up with the Grand Cherokee Off-Road, which honestly never thought I'd say, because I thought that thing was capable until I started building this. This thing's going to be way, way, way crazier than that. This thing's going to be really cool. So if you guys haven't subscribed, make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe. Next up is we're going to do like road driving and see how it handles on the road, because I will be driving this on the road to events and everything like that. We'll probably be doing comparisons between that one since it's on short arms once I get it running again. It runs fine. I just had to put the cross member back in for the transmission and transfer case and all that stuff. And then we'll compare it to this one, obviously, that's on long arms and all that stuff, just to see how it compares. I'm not really expecting this one to drive better. Like, that seems like it would be unrealistic, although I've never had a Jeep with long arms. So I don't really know, so we'll figure it out in an upcoming video once that Jeep's running again, because I have not had a moment to work on that recently. But next up on this Jeep is definitely ordering bump stops, lower coil retaining clips, which they don't make them for WJ, so we're going to have to figure out how to make XJ ones work on these. Shouldn't be a huge deal. We should be able to figure that out pretty easily. Possibly retaining straps, drive shafts, at least the rear, probably the front as well. Kind of sucks because when we go to the 1 tons, I'm going to have no choice but to order another set of drive shafts, just because we're going to be using different joints, different lengths, all that stuff. So I'll have 2 sets of drive shafts. We might actually just end up putting that one on this lift, like a similar lift to this. We'll buy another one, get that one put on this, so that way we can put the drive shafts on that. Then have 2 really capable WJs. That would be pretty cool to me. If you guys didn't know, that one's being turned into an overland build. That way we can take that one up to Pennsylvania, camp in that, and then wheel in this one. Now, I have gotten a few questions. My plans with the Wrangler. For now, honestly, it's working. It's doing what it should. And this is the first time it's been close to done ever. And I'm actually kind of enjoying having a semi-complete Jeep. Probably get hydro assist on it, some other stuff. It'll need new tires soon. But the Jeep's running really, really well. So honestly, at this point, I'm probably just going to let it sit like it is. Obviously, drive it, take it off roading, take it to events, stuff like that. But once this Jeep's done that we're sitting in, the Grand Cherokee, that one's not really going to be wheeled anymore. Just because, honestly, I like this one a lot more because nobody has these as much. They're way less common. Those are everywhere. You go to any Jeep show, they're all over the place. So I definitely like the Grand Cherokee more in that aspect. But that basically wraps up this video. Just want to get a little flex test in before we hit the trails and all that stuff, figure out what I have to adjust. And I'm glad I did, since we found some stuff we had to change before we go off-roading. So as always, guys, thanks for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.